Alright, so we got the Crosman Valiant. If you haven't caught up on my channel at all in a while, it's topped right now with the Athlon, the Aries BTR first focal plane. It's a 4.5 to 27 power optic, 50mm objective. It's on a 20 MOA rail from UTG, some chintzy rings. I don't know what they are, but they're holding zero just fine. The Valiant is shooting somewhere around 1100 feet per second was my most recent guess. I have not put it through a chronograph yet. I need to very badly. But this rifle is in the neighborhood of 4,000 rounds right now, 4,000 pellets, which is a lot. And I've just recently discovered something with the Nitro Piston Elite. You do need to put some oil into the chamber here about every 250 rounds, and I'm at 4,000. So I have some that should be here this next week. One of the ways I discovered that was my group started opening up, and and everything was great. The scope is great, nothing's wrong there. Tracking is really good. The rifle doesn't sound bad or anything like that. I did clean the barrel out, and I don't use chemicals. It's a dry clean with a brush, which does make a difference. I'm absolutely convinced of that. I've seen that in other rifles. There's a particular way to do it, so you're careful, and then you establish lead equilibrium in the throat, again, to kind of get the right lubricity of the pellet going through, the right friction rate and all that. You know, but I was just noticing some stringing in the shots, a little bit of linear or horizontal stringing, some funky things going on. It just felt a little different, and I read online, and it's definitely clear that you need to put a couple drops in here. It just helps with consistency, and about 90% of the reviews said that they did notice an objective difference in accuracy after putting just 2 drops of the Crosman specific oil into this chamber here, not into the barrel, not into the mechanisms, other than the nitro piston. So that's a sealed unit, but there's room for friction in there, and that helps with the consistency of the pellet. Anyways, long story short, this is the rifle I'm running right now, and I'm shooting indoors to try to eliminate as many variables as I can. It's super windy and dark outside right now. In fact, there's a tornado on the ground the next city over, so I'm kind of keeping my eye on that. What I'm gonna do though is just a little testing. At first I thought, well, now that I know that the rifle isn't shooting quite as accurately, maybe I shouldn't be shooting it right now. Maybe I should wait to do this video. But actually, I think this is fair. This is a fair test. This is the worst that your rifle is ever gonna shoot. If it's topped with proper optics and you have good shooting technique, all those kind of things, this is the worst you're ever gonna see. So what I try to do is, it's not exactly scientific, but it's a little more fair than usual things you see that are outdoors, that are exposed in the elements. Like I said, I'm shooting 55 yards. I'm going to shoot a few different pellets. So what I have, the standard one that I shoot here, the open tin, is a 7.9 grain dome hollow point from Crosman, and that's like usually the best. That's usually the best I'm finding with this rifle. We'll see what happens in a second. Just notice this rifle's a little off. I might need to adjust. It seems like the scope's a little canted. Anyways. So we have the 7.9 grain, then I have the Gammo Hunter Impact Country. I've shot these in a number of rifles. They seem to do relatively well. They're not a hollow point round. They're 7.56 grains. They're a little bit lighter, and I don't know. I've seen some pretty good results in them. They fit very tight. They feel like a hard lead, which seems to do better. If the skirt width is fairly wide, it fills up the barrel well right into the lands, and it's a little tougher lead. It seems like it makes a nice seal. So we're gonna just see what happens with that. 10-shot groups, by the way. Doing 10-shot groups on just a white piece of paper, and I have each one marked out and the same size target, like the exact same size target I traced over something, and each one's gonna have its own. Then I have sniper magnums. These are the 15 grain. We have a 15 grain sniper magnums from H&N. Don't have many of these left, but I'm just gonna see what happens with those, because they claim on the packaging this precision and distance. And I know a lot of PCP guys like them. This shoots pretty hard. It should be able to handle that pellet just fine at 55 yards. I've actually shot them plenty further than that, 100 yards easily, but we'll just see what kind of grouping they give us. It's never been a stellar performer for me past probably 50 yards. It's never been amazing. Then I have something new. This is the Premier from Crosman Super Point. It's a 7.9 grain. I have never ever found a pointed pellet to perform well for accuracy or precision. This is the tightest fitting pellet I've ever put into a pellet gun. I don't know if this is a production issue or if they're trying to manufacture these for people with blown out barrels or worn out barrels. I'm not sure what it is. If you had a blown out barrel, this could perhaps increase the performance because of the tightness. But it's not the skirt that has the tightness of seal, it is the head diameter that's making a lot of friction. I'm not sure if that perhaps helps. There's a theory here behind some of this. If you tighten the head of the pellet where the majority of the weight is, it's kind of like a football, or like one of those Nerf footballs with a tail on it. The majority of the mass is in the front. If you are pushing that in the lands and you fire and it's stabilizing the majority of the mass, perhaps, this is a theory, but perhaps it keeps it stable longer. So I am going to try these out at extreme distance at like 200, 250 yards and just see what happens. But we'll certainly get a good idea of what's going to happen here at 50 yards. They seem like they probably have a good BC, probably cut wind decently, but so tight into the chamber, I'm not sure if they're going to work well with this rifle or even fit. Then I have something new. I have never once tried these. It's still in the packaging because I just got it. This is the Crosman. It's a Premier 10.6 grain, just a domed pellet. It's the copper magnums. I've heard a little bit about these. I've heard some people give their speculation, but the people who are speculating on it were shooting rifles that seem pretty blown out. They were shooting with junk optics, or there's so many variables in their shooting setup, I just didn't trust it. And so I decided I'll just one time go buy my own package. They're a little bit expensive for a pellet, I think. I've just never spent that kind of money on pellets, you know. And so we'll see what happens with these. They're interesting. They do look like they're fairly quality. I can see some manufacturing lines on them, but that doesn't mean instability. So the claim on these pellets from the factory is that the copper magnums have 20% better accuracy at 50 yards. And now there's some important words missing there. It doesn't say up to 20%. It says 20% better accuracy at 50 yards. That is quite a claim. So today, I guess what I'm doing is, this isn't finding out what the max effectiveness of this rifle is. Like I already mentioned, I think I probably need to get a few drops of that oil in this rifle, kind of maintain some things here. But I'm going to keep as many variables similar as I can. I'm shooting for the same platform. I'm going to shoot on the same magnification, which is at 15 power. Actually, I might edit that. I'll let you know if I change magnification on the power. It's whatever looks best in here, whatever I can hold the most consistent. I do want to shoot the best groups I can, but like I said, I know the rifle already is not performing as well. That's one of the things I picked out. We'll just see the consistency across a spread of 10 shots, each one of those targets, and those different pellets, and I'll just analyze it at the end. I'll put all the cards together, and I can give you some of my thoughts of what's going on at 55 yards. Again, it's point blank. We'll do a test like this further, probably 100 yards and then 200 yards, just to get an idea of the claims that are made about these pellets. All right, let's do it. All right, last set, and I am on the Crosman, what are they called? Copper Magnums, the 10.6 grain, the one that makes the claim for 20% better accuracy at 50 yards. Sounds like a promise to me, but we'll see what we get. I had to move each shot group to 5 shots because the storm is coming my way. And so last 5 shots, here we go. All right, guys, so I have the results in. Kind of interesting, surprised me actually quite a bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about the pellets, and I'll show you some of the results. First of all, I'll probably just pull these right out so that you know. The Sniper Magnums, these right here, I'm sure it's not focusing, but the 15 grain, not good. Unfortunately, they were extremely inconsistent. The pellets, I could even feel it in my hand, just not consistent, not a good performer. The Premier, 7.9 grains, Super Point, I think it was called, Super Point. Not a good performer. In fact, it barely was able to get into the chamber. I had to use a pen and stab it in there, which is not normal. I had to put a lot of pressure on it. They came out so squirrely that they were doing more than a 10-inch group at 55 yards, which is really, really bad. I actually am worried that these are going to damage something. I don't have an air rifle. I don't own an air rifle that I would put these in anymore, so I guess they'll sit on a shelf, or if I have like a really blown out, worn out air rifle, maybe these will engage a little better with a really wide head diameter. If you know what the purpose of these are, or why they were created, or if there's some other use that I'm not aware of, go ahead and comment down below. I actually want to know. I don't want to just bash them over this, but so far this seems like a really bad production or bad specs on this product. I'm not sure. And I know it's not just my lot, because I'm seeing a lot of, it's not just the lot that was created here of pellets, because I see many reviews online saying the exact same thing. It's kind of confusing. The Gamo Hunter 7.56 grain. Yeah. So this right here is a 3.5-inch group. I don't know, I'll show you again something darker here so you can see it. At 55 yards. Again, this is the worst performance I think you're going to see out of the rifle, because it hasn't been maintained and it needs that oil. According to the company, I kind of believe it. I'm seeing a lot of reviews online that suggest that that is actually truthful, that there's integrity behind that claim. So yeah, 3.5 inches at 55 yards isn't going to cut it. A lot of rifles, that's actually okay. A lot of pellet rifles, unfortunately, that's not good. Most pellet rifle companies rate their rifles for around 10 yards for accuracy, which again, I could throw the rifle further than that. Man, 10 yards is a joke. I don't really want to hear talk like that anymore. I hope airgun companies take notice that is such a joke. Don't talk about 10 yards. We want to know 25, 50 yards, more reasonable distances, unless it's a kid's toy. Maybe a kid cares about 10 yards, but when you advertise rifles towards adults, or Magnum Springers towards adults, you need to talk about greater distances than 10 yards. That's a basement distance. Next up was the Crosman 7.9. That's the domed hollow point. And this group right here, I don't know what I did with my tape measure. This is 3/4 of an inch with the flyer on the bottom. At 50 yards for a 5-shot group. Sure, it's not bad. Like I said, a lot of rifles can't produce this. I actually know some rimfires, 22s, that can't do this, which is pretty poor, actually. It's very close. You're right on the edge of half MOA. This is actually half MOA right up here between those shots. Or not half MOA. It's 1 MOA at 50 yards. But again, I'm shooting at 55 yards, and so it'd just be a little tighter with those four shots. This guy down here, maybe it's a velocity difference because the compression isn't consistent. Maybe it's not releasing the same way because I haven't lubricated inside this nitro piston. It's very possible, but more than likely it was my trigger pull or my recoil, something like that. Possibly slight parallax. That's a lot of parallax at 55 yards, but perhaps a little bit of that wasn't adjusted for. Either way, not bad. 3/4 of an inch. The rifle shoots much better, and I have lots and lots of groups to show that. Then we went to finally this guy, the one that makes all the claims. Okay, the copper-plated Magnum, whatever, 10.9. Yeah, 10.6 grain. Copper-plated Magnums from Crosman. The claim on the package is that they're 20% more accurate at 50 yards. So here's the old standby go-to, and there are the copper-plated, not cutting it. That group right there, I measured it, man, and now I don't know what I did with my tape measure, but that group right there was a little under 2 inches. So not impressive, and you can tell by the spread here. Certainly I have the fundamentals of marksmanship. If you see the core of that group, I'm not having a whole lot of vertical spread, I'm not having a whole lot of horizontal spread, and unfortunately in here, this looks like it looks like that's just the spread that round does. I could feel a lot of inconsistencies in those pellets. The head and the manufacturing marks on them, there was like a kind of a pronounced line here or there that just messed with it. Sometimes the head was more tight than other times. Sometimes the skirt was more tight than other times. The width on some of them, it looks like a coating of some sort, was different, and it just didn't produce great results. But I think this is right around the max size that you would see at that distance. I think it'll only be better than this and this once the rifle's maintained properly. And just for the heck of it, I know some people would probably want to see this. I did a 7.9 grain 10 shot group right here and a 10.6 grain copper plated 10 shot group. And a lot of vertical stringing going on here, especially with that high flyer, which I'm willing to go ahead and claim, that real high flyer. And then a little bit of horizontal stringing going on here. I don't know, that's kind of weird. I haven't had a lot of horizontal stringing with this rifle, but it's there. I'm more concerned typically with vertical stringing because that has to do with velocities. But this one's a little spacey for me. I'm not comfortable with that. Obviously, actually my first 5 shots, it's really disappointing. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I got kind of spaced out. I don't know what the heck happened. I went all over the place, and I wasn't getting shaky. I was taking breaks, and I really took my time. I made sure that it wasn't dieseling, wasn't getting any extra pressure in the barrel. Did everything that I know how to do. And actually, if you were to throw out the flyers in these 10 shot groups at 55 yards, the groups are the same size. They're 1.75 inches if you throw out the flyer. So they're shooting the same. So the claim that Crosman makes about these being 20% tighter, I don't know if that's founded. In fact, Crosman, if you're watching this, I would love to talk to you or connect with your company. I think you're going through a rebranding process right now. I would love just to talk and work something out. Maybe we could talk about some rifles. I'm pretty sure you're not getting a whole lot of people who are actually dedicating the time to this platform, shooting at 150, 200 yards and getting the results that I'm getting. I would love to explore that and maybe do a little research and investigation just to show people what these rifles are capable of and how to put them together, how to work with them, how to shoot them to get these kind of results. I know a lot of people are super frustrated with air guns, they don't understand them, and quite frankly, it is kind of voodoo, it's black magic. But once you start figuring it out, at least getting results like this will put a smile on somebody's face at 55 yards. I've seen much worse, much worse. A lot of times it's technique, a lot of times it's the product, a lot of times it's the pellet combined with those factors. And so if any of those airgun companies are listening out there and you're watching this, I would love to connect with you and maybe just we could have a relationship where we could work a little bit, brainstorm a little bit. I don't need anything free, but if you wanted to throw something free, that's great. I would love to work with a company because I want to progress the sport. I want to see how far this thing goes. And quite frankly, this is the worst that rifle does. It's the worst. It does way better than that. I'm going to show you some targets in the future that will be hard to believe if they weren't recorded with video. These rifles can shoot incredibly tight, especially when you start pulling out the factors and the variables and when it's maintained properly. So thanks guys, Gun Tote Minnesota. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe, do all those things. You know, hit the little bell icon so that YouTube will not tell you that I'm going to make a video. They don't do it anymore. They remove it from people. I don't know how long my channel will even last, but I would love to just keep you posted on this. If you're interested in that kind of thing, go ahead and drop a comment down below and tell me what you think about these results. What did I do wrong? What am I not getting right? And I'll check out your page and see what kind of evidence results that you're getting. And maybe I'll learn something from you. Other than that, guys, really appreciate your support and your views.